Is life ever getting you down? Do you ever feel like you're just not enough? Your back is not as flexible as it used to be. That people aren't approaching you in friendship as often as they could be? Well, I have just the product for you, folks. All you need to do is go down to your local Walmart for the salvation you need. Look in your heart. Look in your wallets. It's not going to hurt them, folks. I'm talking about a wacky, waving, inflatable tube guy. For $9.10, you too can make your house look like a used car lot, except it's your emotions. That's right. I want you to trauma dump on your neighbors for the low, low price of $9.10. The wacky, waving, inflatable tube guy. Please enjoy this episode
of Just Some Gamers. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Just Some Gamers. We are on episode 124. With me, I have the venerable ELMMMERFUDD. How are you doing,
dude?
brother?
Do I love getting introduction from you?
Well, there's a few things
Russell.
I like getting from you.
Oh, I like an effervescent Russell. Damn, dude. Yeah, I'm feeling good, man. This feels right. A little weird, but it feels right. It feels good.
It feels weird.
You look good in that chair, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, keep talking. Keep talking.
Oh, yeah, of course, dude. The shoulders, how they fill out that shirt, the cough, how it just makes an echo chamber of the palm of your hand.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No.
Sorry for our listeners. I still am sick. I'm not sick. I just have a cough. When I have a cough, it just lasts for forever.
And it won't. And somehow it's gotten worse. You poor thing. I feel so bad for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Do you want me to come put some Vicks Vapor Rub on your chest?
You know, I'd love that.
I know you would. And I would honestly love to do that for you.
I think I forget about Vicks.
Yes.
But it really does help.
It does.
So I think I need to put that on.
Do you have some Vicks?
I do.
You should get.
We usually have Vicks.
We could get a live Vicks chest rub on stream, dude.
Ooh. I like the idea of that.
Okay. Ooh, we've muted. This is going to be a bad one. It's not. Oh, God, folks. It's not ever. Oh, my God. Oh, the humanity. Oh, it floweth like the river Styx. Holy shit.
Not the gumdrop button.
You're a monster.
So how are you doing this week? What have you been up to?
Oh.
What have you been playing?
Dude, I have not been playing much. We did start, which we can definitely talk a little. I'll talk about the rest of the week before we mention that, because that's going to be a little conversation.
Yeah.
Not the whole episode, little conversation. But I haven't been able to game much this week, man. It's been a week. We had my family came into town last weekend, and they went home Sunday, and then Lisa's family came into town this weekend.
Good.
So they just left this morning, and then we have Tegan and her daughter, who you know, because we all went to Elitch's together. Yeah, they're coming up next weekend to visit. So it's
that's
just
awesome though, because
take your time, buddy. I believe in you. Your brain's going to function as you want it to.
Izzy, oh my gosh, sorry.
Woo!
I'm so sorry.
You're good.
Izzy and her daughter are like best friends, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So is that why they're coming up?
That's why they're coming to visit. Yeah. We try to visit each other as much as we can. So, but it's funny that no one communicated with each other to come visit like 3 weekends in a row. It just happened that like boom. We're like, oh, wait a second. Like that's 3 weekends in a row. So, I mean, the house has never been cleaner because we're making sure to deep clean it before people show up every time. So,
oh, fair.
So that's been nice. But yeah, I got to play a little. I won't mention the game again. I'm skirting around it so we can talk about it. But played that was that Monday night or Tuesday night?
Yeah, Monday
night. We got into that, and I didn't play a game again until today when we sat down to play.
Really? So you got that far just today?
Just today, yeah. I haven't played anything all week, dude. Work's been crazy. Just family stuff happening that like time gets away from you. And I didn't sleep for like 3 days straight, dude. Let me tell you a story, okay?
Yeah, tell me. I'm ready. Story time.
One night, my dog, I love her, but she's waking up like every hour on the hour whining to go potty. And I can tell, like, at first I'm getting real frustrated. And then I finally am like
Yeah.
watching because it's dark. So finally I'm like, I'm going to go out there and see what's going
Yeah.
on. So I go out with her and I realize she's constipated. She doesn't know what's going on. I'm like, oh, poor. So she's trying every hour and nothing's happening, but she goes back to bed. It's like, oh, you poor thing. So we got up every hour on the hour. It takes me forever to fall asleep. So no sleep that night. So then the next night, she becomes the opposite of constipated. She got that figured out. So that's good. Oh, so no. I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was like, this room smells like shit. Because there's a kennel, there's a fan, and then the bed. So that stench was just, so she explosive diarrhea in her kennel. And then she was laying in it.
And gets it everywhere. Because that's what dogs do.
And I have an awesome gag reflex. Lisa, again, works overnight. So I'm all solo.
Oh.
So I get her outside and I drag the kennel out and I have to go undo. We have like a makeshift redneck sprinkler system, right?
Yeah.
So I have to go undo the entire sprinkler system so I can use the hose.
Get the hose.
And so I'm cleaning it out. And then I take her in and I hose her off outside. And then I take her in to take a bath. She's a big dog. It's a 4-person project to give her a bath. And I have to do it solo. That was actually really fun. But so I closed the door in the bathroom. The whole room got soaking wet because she'd obviously get a little wet, jump out of the tub, shake off, water would go everywhere.
And then rub herself on everything.
Yep. So I'm soaking wet, but I'm laughing at this point. I'm like, this whole thing is so ridiculous. You just have to laugh, you know?
Yeah.
So I get her clean, and this happened at 4 a.m. Lisa gets off at 6. So much, and because she's like, she poops on the floor again, and so I'm cleaning that up and mopping it up. So Lisa gets home from work when I should be getting ready for work, and walks in, and I'm like, I am dripping water from washing her, and like mopping like diarrhea off the floor, and all the lights are on the house, and she's like, it's not what I expected coming home today. And I was like, yep, this is my life today. And you know what?
Tag team, here we go. Your turn.
The dog got everything out of her system by the time Lisa got home. There was 0 other issues the rest of the day. I was like, you literal bitch.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. But so yeah, the last couple of nights we finally been able to sleep, which is good.
Good.
It was, I'm just rambling now. It was Lisa's birthday. So that was really fun yesterday.
Oh,
I took
tell
her
her
out.
I said happy birthday.
I will. She's too far away. But we went and saw the new Beetlejuice movie.
Was it any good?
It was honestly really good.
Okay.
It's thoroughly I want to see myself.
Okay. I really love the original.
Yes.
I guess 1. Because this is a sequel, not a remake.
Correct.
So I really love that one. So I've been hesitant.
It felt like it was a fun continuation, right?
Sure.
I liked, like Michael Keaton said he would only do it if they stayed true to like doing as much of it not CGI as possible, practical effects and stuff.
Sure.
So like that was, you could tell like, you remember like in the original Beetlejuice, the hallways and stuff, you know, like a lot of like all that's actually built and stuff. And so, and then when they did have to do CGI stuff, they like, you could tell they purposely did it in a way where it looked bad, you know, like it was purposely done to look as if it was almost claymation, but CGI.
Sure.
So, which was really cool. But yeah, no, the tone of it was really fun. I really enjoyed, the humor was great. You know, the new characters were fantastic. They kept that humor and the strangeness throughout the whole thing. I really enjoyed it.
I want to give it a watch. I'm probably going to wait until it comes out, you know, so I can stream it.
Yeah, for sure.
Just because unless it's like Dune or like a Marvel movie, like for me, I'm like, I like going to the theater, but the hassle of going to the theater, like I went and saw Godzilla X Kong New Empire.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a monster movie. Like, if there's a spectacle involved, then I want to go to the theater to see it. But like Beetlejuice, I'm fine watching that at home.
I hear
on my couch where I can pause it. The main
thing, I fucking love going to the movies. Like the movie theater experience is one of my favorite things ever. So as often as I can, which is tough because it's expensive. But thank God our local
Yeah.
theater does it's like $5 a ticket on Tuesdays. So usually if we go to a movie,
nice.
it's on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's been awesome. But yeah, so we saw Beetlejuice. Oh, and Wednesday we went and saw. We haven't gone to a movie in a long time. We went to 2 this week, but they had Coraline 3D was back in theaters.
Ooh.
So that was really
I never
cool.
knew that was in 3D.
Or maybe it was not released originally, and this was like a 3D. It feels like it was made for 3D though, but
I feel like it was. I just don't remember it being in 3D.
I don't either, but that was a while ago. But yeah, so we went and saw that. Ethan had never seen it. Last time Izzy saw it, she was really little when it first came out.
Yeah.
And it scared the hell out of her, but she was like, I really want to see it.
It's a freaky movie.
Yeah. God damn, was that good. That it's been a Tim Burton week, I guess, for me. Holy shit. But yeah, that was
that Tim
really
Burton?
Fun. He produced it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I know Neil Gaiman is because Coraline was originally a children's book.
Correct.
Believe it or not.
Well, a lot of children's books, if a lot of them that they make stuff out of, you go back to the book, and it's kind of messed up. You go, that's a children's book?
It's in the same vein of Brothers Grimm kind of thing. Where
exactly.
It's we're not going to shy away from this scary stuff for children.
Yeah. But it was the kids' first 3D movie experience, which was so much.
Really?
I even thought about the fact that we haven't gone to see a 3D movie with them.
Yeah.
So they're like, what, the glasses? They were like super weirded out by the whole glasses situation. But like anytime something 3D happened, it was so fun to just watch them like giggle and like reaching their hands out. The 3D was really well done. I almost reached my hands out a few times, but I was like, oh, this is so much fun for them. It was great.
Well, because it was a big thing a few years ago.
Yes.
I feel like pre-COVID, COVID is kind of what killed the 3D.
I agree. Yeah.
Because Force Awakens was 3D.
Was 3D. Most everything came out
lot of
with
movies.
a 3D version.
Yeah. And they had gotten pretty good, much better than when we were kids.
Was it?
And you had the red and blue paper glasses.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Way better, dude. Well, I think it was the second Avengers movie was really made for 3D. I remember seeing that one because you have a lot of almost every time Cap threw his shield, it was going towards the camera.
Yeah.
And he had all the shots where, like in the beginning of the movie when they're all going through the snow and they all jump up in a line together.
Yeah.
So that was designed. So it was kind of like, woo. But yeah, you're right. After COVID, there hasn't been a lot of 3D movie selections.
They moved away from it. I like 3D. The only thing that I didn't like is because of the way they had to film it, they would blur a lot of the background.
Yes.
So you missed a lot of the details. So things like Avengers, Force Awakens, things like that, I was like, I don't really want to see it in 3D because then I'm missing a lot of what's happening and going on.
I prefer animation in 3D, not live action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? No, there was a movie came out kind of Tim Burton-esque. And it's about a kid who can see dead people. Not The Sixth Sense. But it was like an animation.
Oh, is this that I know what you're talking about. It was like the Day of the Dead, the kid travels over.
Yeah.
Was that Coco? Was that what that movie was called?
No.
Or
Not Coco. Different one. It had
Paranorman?
That one.
That's the one. Okay, 2012.
Yeah. That one I really liked.
I don't think I've
and
ever
that one
actually
was
seen
3D.
it.
Oh, watch it. It's good.
I've heard good things.
It's good. It and even for adults because it walks that edge, kind of like Coraline, where it's darker.
Yeah.
Right.
But in a fun way.
Yeah. Well, I think so. Yeah. It had some good gimmicks in it.
And anything claymation is just I'm obsessed.
I'm a big fan.
You have to be passionate to make that kind of movie. The amount of effort. I'm like, hey, Izzy, see where she blinked right there? That took probably 2 weeks. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, I think we should have this discussion at some time on the podcast. But the animation and its role in the future of movies.
Yes.
I think that would be a good.
And our favorite claymation movies would be really fun because that's. You always just go, there's 3 or 4 of them until you really look into it and go.
There's a bunch.
There's a ton of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we discuss the game we were playing, what have you been up to this week?
Kind of in the same vein.
Okay.
Not that I've had a lot of family visiting, but just not a lot of time for gaming. I've jumped on to Conan Exiles a little bit, which I've started playing a little bit more lately. But maybe like an hour here or there. The game, that shall not be mentioned. Was Monday, and then I've been sick, so it's like tired, take NyQuil, go to bed.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But and then we had some business stuff that we had to do this week.
Being adult sucks, dude.
It's I sometimes I think back on it and I'm like, man, I wish I was a kid again, but you had no responsibilities, but there also wasn't a lot that you could do because you didn't have money.
But there's that
And
sweet spot. There was like a year and a half there where you could get your license, have a job, and still have nothing to do. It was beautiful.
True.
But yeah, no, I wish. I don't know, man. Let's just win the lotto. What do you think? Should we just do that? We could just play. Everything would be paid for, right?
Yeah.
Make sure we spend plenty of time with our family. That's important. I want to make sure that very clear. Obviously, leave our wives, upgrade to a fresher, newer model because we're rich now. That's what you do.
I'm gonna plead the fifth on that one. It always comes back. It always comes back, Elmer, and I do not want to have that coming back to my wife.
I think she might actually listen to the show, dude.
She can probably hear me through the doorway.
Yeah, but somehow she hears the things I say. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think she does listen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I say this all the time to people because they're like, you're always so sweet about your wife. Like, you always talk her up, and I'm like, yeah, it always comes back.
And also, she's fucking incredible, and it's easy to be sweet about her.
She really, really is. Like,
yeah.
Awesome.
No, same
as is your wife.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all jokes, folks, okay? We're obsessed with our wives to an unhealthy degree. Yeah. I tell my wife all the time, it really hurts that I love you way more than you'll ever love me. Anyway, so how has Space Marines been for you?
Yeah. So we started playing Space Marines, right? That new game that's coming out. I think it's great. I think it fills what I needed because, like, I play Helldivers. We've talked about this before.
Correct.
I love Helldivers. I still love Helldivers, right? Even through the nerfs that they did, I still love Helldivers. But it's very tactical.
Yes.
You are not the hero. You are the disposable infantry sent into an impossible mission to accomplish it through as many bodies as possible, right? That's kind of the premise of Helldivers. It fills that role very well.
Very well.
Space Marines 2, you feel powerful and strong. And I've been playing it on Vet, and it is a tougher experience for sure.
Oh, 100%.
We've had this discussion in our Discord, but you get used to it, and it's one of those things where it's just like, oh man, it feels good.
Clicks. Yes.
Catching a Hormagon out of the air, throwing it on the ground, stabbing it in the face, ripping it apart. It just feels good.
Well, and not does it feel good, it makes, like, especially in the campaign and you're playing as Titus, it makes him feel great. I was watching TikTok the other day where someone was doing photo mode in the middle of, like, executing something, and he zoomed it on the face, and the dude, it looks like it's his wedding day. He is grinning, and not like a maniac smile, like legitly pure joy, like, this just feels right, smile on his face. And I'm like, that is a great attention to detail, and I love that.
It really, their attention to detail has been,
it's insane,
amazing.
Dude, the game looks incredible. I was sharing Cheesy's a great friend of mine. He's never going to play the game, but I send him screenshots constantly because he is obsessed with how it looks. I got to find the exact comment he made because it echoed so beautifully.
Yeah.
what they've
And I
done.
feel like they've stayed very true to the Warhammer lore.
Yes.
This is a passion project.
Yes. Real quick, they have perfected the art of using darkness as a light source.
Ooh, it's true.
It's every screenshot, there is darkness involved, but it's not just like a blacked out darkness, right? Anything it's always different shades of shadows that actually make things light up in a way. Like the best way is like the bridge on the ship where you have all the, huge windows, right? With all the ships in the background, but it's all the glowing green monitors, whatever, on all the control schemes down below. If you look down at that, it's so dark, but it looks lit up. You can see every detail, but it is an incredibly shadowed area. It's a brilliant way of using art.
It fits with the theme of Warhammer so well.
Yes.
The far-flung future of a grim, dark universe where there is only war. Like, that fits with that theme so well. And you're absolutely right. The hues and shadows that they use accentuate the lights. Oh, it's a beautiful game.
It's just absolutely beautiful. Well, and the biggest thing is and we're not going to talk too much on it, but just, because we played a mission right before we got on. But but it's just like Gears of War, right? It's one of my favorite game series.
Yeah.
And after playing it, I haven't realized how badly I've been wanting something like that in my life again.
Right.
But to have that, like, the big fucking beefed up dude stumbling kind of slowly, but being a badass and killing swarms with chainsaw guns and shit. It's just like, it's like a beautiful ode to Xbox 360 games, but like how you remember games looking back then,
Yeah, it's not all brown and gray either.
No.
You've got these incredible hues that follow this full gamut. So it's just, like you said, it's what you remember it looking like.
Exactly. It's just that it's not like clunky, but it's just like, it feels like you're wearing this fucking heavy armor and you're wielding everything with it. Like, it's not clunky as in a bad design. It's like purposely designed to feel perfect with what you're using and wearing. And it's just like, God,
and can we talk for a second about the sound design?
Oh,
from the score. And to like, I put this in the Discord earlier. I don't know if you saw it, where it's like there's a sound cue whenever you need to make a parry that's almost more noticeable than the actual visible cue. Like, to the point to where everything has a specific purpose. Or like when I threw down my banner as a bulwark and you have the drums just like so good. So good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm obsessed, dude. All right, sorry, you're
anything else you want to say about it?
No, I can't for now because we'll spend the next 3 hours talking about it. And I want to finish the campaign and get some co-op stuff under our belts before we sit down and have a full fucking episode about it, because we will.
I agree. So real quick before we move into our topic.
Yes, sir.
Just wanted to give a book update.
Oh, yes, please.
So, it's been a few weeks. I've been kind of piddling with it, mostly doing stuff in my head because I've had some rough mental health weeks. I've had some other stuff going on, being sick.
I love you, buddy.
It's still there. Finishing chapter 3. I've made some pretty good progress over the last couple of days. I think it's in a good spot. I might, in the next couple of episodes, do another little excerpt. Probably once I revise chapter 2, maybe do an excerpt from there. Just to kind of keep things moving along there. But
chapter
I think
2
we're
could use some revision, so I'm glad you're doing
that. I'm up at about 1,100 words. It was 10,186. I think that's where I'm at. So probably about 10% done.
That's still, man. I mean, that's 10% further than having the idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is technically 100% further than just having the idea, because you've begun.
Right.
The amount of people that say, I'm going to write a book, and it never gets past that is pretty much anyone that's ever lived.
Right. Well, and I'm really hoping to at least finish it, and then we'll see about getting published. I feel like it's going pretty good. I think if I can keep I've been heavily relying on I call them alpha readers for myself. People who read the chapters as I go along and give me input back, has been really good for me to kind of enhance what I'm doing, and even go, you know what, this isn't working. This does work. And one of the other day, I have a friend of mine who is continuously asking me. He's like, "When do I get the next chapter?" And that makes me feel pretty good. So yeah, it's there. It's exciting. It's fun. I'm working on a descent into madness and trying to figure that out because he's kind of one of the two main characters is I kind of want him to feel a little bit like Gollum, but a Gollum as we're watching him descend into that madness.
Ooh, I dig that.
Because Gollum is one of the best characters in Lord of the Rings,
100%,
in my opinion. He's one of the most interesting, and so we never really get we always get the origins of the hero. But in this, I'm flipping it around. We're getting the origins of the villain, and the hero is already established.
I dig that.
He's already been there, and so we're not really getting his origin. We're getting the villain's origin.
So things mean a shit ton when things collide.
Yeah. I that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping it pays off. It's a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a different way of storytelling. Instead of the hero's journey, it's the villain's journey a little bit. At least with this split point of view.
Well, and the thing I really like with that,
how it works out.
Well, the thing I really like with that is it's like there are books that have done that, but it's done that in a way where it's like it does that reveal by the end of the book where it's like, oh my God, he was the villain the whole time. I had no idea. But like you're establishing, no, this is the bad guy.
Yeah.
We know out of the gate, but we're spending all our time with him. So you're still going to feel things for this guy, right, good or bad, but like it's not a reveal at the end. You're like, holy shit, he was the bad guy the whole time. You're along for the journey, knowing from the beginning, and I really like that look.
Yeah, I'm hoping it works as well as I want it to. I can't think of anywhere where it's been done, so I'm kind of excited about that. Right?
Yeah.
You know, we got a fantasy spy thriller, which is not a common thing, and then also kind of doing a villain's journey rather than a hero's journey, and kind of seeing how that ties out. So I'm getting excited about it again. It's one of those things where it's like I just got out of the habit, so now I'm getting back into the habit of, you know, an hour every day because I really want to do this.
I'm proud of you, dude. I'm going to keep emailing TSR Incorporated, so we'll get it published.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah, they're the ones that did the Dragonlance books, so.
I mean, I honestly, so my ideal publisher would be Tor.
Okay, never mind. I'll go email them. Jesus Christ.
It's just that's like the premier fantasy publisher.
Tor.
You know,
all right, Tor Publishing Group. Here we go.
They did The Wheel of Time. They're Brandon Sanderson's publisher for most of his Cosmere books. I think he's worked with a couple other publishers, and of course now he has his own publishing house, Dragonsteel. So that's a thing. Yeah, Tor would be my ideal.
They do a lot of smut, dude.
Do they really?
A lot of smut.
Well, I mean,
so my wife's all about it. So yeah. There we go.
If I ever did write smut, it would be under a pen name. I don't think I would be. I don't think I'd be able to put my own name
with your face. Smut. All the artwork has to have your face involved somewhere.
All right. Yeah. It's just me in the corner, like peeking out from behind the curtain.
I like how you immediately didn't go with, I'm the broad-chested hero guy on the front. You're like, I'm some fucking creep in a window.
I'm the creepy guy in the background.
Yeah.
Peeping Tom.
Well, I'm proud of you, buddy.
Thank you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Teddy.
You are just awesome. Look at you, you stud. Stud muffin.
You haven't seen this belly, man.
Sexiest man alive.
You think so?
Yeah, but you're just so huggable.
I am. That is true.
Like you are a teddy bear.
This is also factual.
Yeah.
And I love hugging.
Snuggle into your beard.
Mm-hmm. Get nestled
into
there,
your
dude.
chest. Yeah, yes. Yeah.
God, dude, imagine
Just
you were
for that.
snuggled up on me while I was rubbing Vicks on your chest right now.
Oh man, we'd have to turn it X-rated.
I'll
Like
do it. We'll get a nice little
JSG
cabin in the
After Dark.
woods. I'll hire some
Oh
people to
yeah.
play a lute in the corner. We'll have a little tavern band playing some soft
Yeah.
music. All the bowl of grapes next to us.
Can we have like a curtain made out of chainmail?
Oh, of course, dude. Yeah.
And a window looking out over a city?
Mm-hmm. And there's just
With
be
a
this
little-
guy dressed like a centaur just randomly walks by the window every once in a while, goes for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down for this. I like it. I
cool.
like it so far.
I'm gonna stock up on Vicks.
I mean, this is a great segue into our topic
Amen, dude.
tonight, which is our favorite protagonists in gaming.
Which is a very exciting topic. I'm very pumped for this one. I've seen your list and I'm very excited for it. There's a couple names on there that were like obvious, like as much as I went, you son of a bitch, you stole that. Like it's obvious they have to be on the list. So I'm excited. I think I'm gonna bring up some ones that you're gonna be like, oh fuck, I forgot about that one. And I don't know why it's not on my list. So this is gonna be really fun, dude.
Okay. I think I want you to start.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a description of like what a protagonist is and what we're looking for?
Yeah, sure. So a protagonist, they can be either heroic or villainous, in my opinion, right? Some of mine are kind of walk that line a little bit, but they're the leading character or one of the major characters in a drama. In this case, a game. They do not have to be heroic or villainous, but they are the main character, the one that you're typically playing from the viewpoint of.
You poor thing.
Start us out. Who is the first person on your list?
The first person on my list is one of the best protagonists ever in a video game, right? This young man who became an old man in a later game, who you spent many, many hours with, aroused my wife to no extent, got her interested in RPGs in the first place, really propelled this game series to a whole nother level after the actual success of the first game. And I'm talking about Ezio Auditore de Firenze from Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood. There's two more in there.
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I think there's a second one.
There's Assassin's Creed 2, there's Brotherhood, then he's the old man. Crap. Oh, I'll figure that out later. But anyway, yes, when they hit Assassin's Creed series, which is still around, we have one coming out very soon. But a fantastic run of games is Ezio Auditore. Over in Italy and stuff, we had a fantastic "It's a Me Mario" joke in Assassin's Creed 2, which is fantastic, and all of us.
Well, because his uncle is Mario, isn't he?
His uncle's Mario, and he goes, "It's a me, Mario," and we all went, "Is he allowed to do that?" But anyway, so this is a young man. If you remember in the first Assassin's Creed game, you are a master assassin, and then you're pushed to the bottom ranks, and then you're working your way up. The second game is all about not knowing the Assassin's Order exists, learning your father was a part of it, being forced into it, and growing into becoming its leader over the course of all these games. The voice acting, the combat was fantastic, but the Ezio as the leading character having, is such a good way of showing ups and downs, strengths, weaknesses, really growing from being a spoiled young boy, or not young, but like a young teenager, to
you
becoming
start
an
out
old
as a
man who's in
baby.
charge. You do. The very beginning of the game, you're a baby. You literally are there for Ezio's entire life, which is not something you experience in a game very often. But the amount of historical people he's met, fought against, assassinated, but beyond just being an assassin, as a character, as a leading man, to bring over a movie term, just really propelled what a gaming protagonist hero guy could be. Really deep, not just like the Duke Nukem, hey, I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass and I want to eat your ass. It's just, it was a thing of beauty, man.
Well, we get to see him from his birth to his death.
Yes.
Like, we get his full story. It's not normally something we get in a lot of video games because we get to see him in almost all stages of his life. Like you said, we get his entire story.
Yeah.
And that is so big and it is so cool and it's epic in its
Yeah.
scale, right? They have not done it. They didn't do it before and they haven't done it since.
No.
Where you have spent 3 games with one protagonist in the Assassin's Creed series. And Ezio, like, the way he spoke, I love Italian. I love the sound
100%.
of Italian.
Yeah.
And
the
so
language,
playing
the
that
accent.
game was one of my favorites. I love the mechanics that they had in that game. It hadn't yet departed into the RPG spectrum.
Correct. It was still that classic, like, there was times where it was easy, you just pressed one button and you could kill everything that existed. Yeah. But there was one of my favorite moments in gaming ever, honestly. It was from Brotherhood. It's when you're running into the cult of Romulus and you're getting close to finding the end where there's armor at, and like 15 of them jump you in like a bunch of ruins. And if you can like just press one button, like slam that button, but it's just this fluid movement between killing 15 people of just like parrying this guy and slitting this throat and moving around to this one. And it wasn't janky at all. And I did it on accident because I panicked when these 15 dudes jumped me, but just the fluidity of the movement. And it was like a different animation for every person slain. And you're just like, yes, this guy should be in charge of the assassins.
Yeah. And I love that. Not only that, but you get to build a city like in Assassin's Creed 2, right?
Correct.
You're building up this city with him. Later, you're building up a brotherhood, right? You are building the Assassin's Guild. And then in the third one's a little bit different. The third one, probably not my favorite.
Ooh,
it had the tower defense. I like the story. I wasn't a big fan of the tower defense segments.
The tower defense was, it was a weird, one game did it and it was popular. So everyone tried to add a tower defense thing into their game for a while there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just did some weird things. The story was good though.
But I mean, the going from him wanting to just fight everything and being forced to learn how to hold himself back. And I mean, he had to watch his whole family get killed, minus his sister. Would you like to look at the book? But just watching him grow from wanting to have revenge on everything to learning to control his anger to becoming a leader. And then obviously in the third game when he's trying harder to not because he can't handle himself, but trying harder to not bring things to violence and really I want to use my brain and discuss things and figure it out and puzzle working and whatnot. It was just a beautiful, like you were mentioning, a full arc of the lifetime of someone. And it was fantastic.
Well, and the only thing, the feathers.
Yeah, the feathers. Yeah. I don't ever want to think about feathers ever again.
I am surprised that you didn't pick Bayek.
He's definitely on my list of people, not one I'm going to mention tonight, but one of my favorite protagonists of an Assassin's Creed game. But I didn't want to have multiple on this list from the same franchise. And Ezio, if Ezio didn't cover 3 full games, I might have gone to him. But Bayek was an incredible storyline. I was obsessed to the point where the writing was so good for him towards the end of the game. Spoiler alert for a game that's really old now. It's 8 years old now, I think. But his son gets kidnapped and you're supposed to chase them, but it leads you through 4 areas of the map that the game wanted you to play through. And I was so into the story that I was like, fuck all that. And I dove straight to the end. Cause I got to get my son back. Cause it was just so beautifully written, but it's not about Bayek. Ezio Auditore de Firenze, the Assassin's Creed series. Yes, incredible. If you've never played them, they did a remaster a couple years ago on console. So 100% play through the whole Ezio trilogy.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you can buy a box set of all the Ezio Assassin's Creed games.
I don't think I can't remember if I ever finished the third one.
You should. It has a really good payoff. Yeah. Well, who's first on your list, buddy?
First on my list is, I'm going to go ahead and steal him from you.
Yeah, I know.
Arthur Morgan.
Fucking shit.
From Red Dead Redemption 2. So I love this game. And the biggest part of this game for me, like, I love the open world. I love living in something that feels real.
Yes.
Like, right, you're riding your horse and there's something that can happen. And it can be random and it's different every time. Like running into the ghost people in the swamps.
Correct.
Right, out of Saint-Denis. But the biggest thing is uh, Arthur Morgan. And the voice of Roger Clark as Arthur Morgan.
Incredible.
Is the best. Like, I talked about this last week. Black Badge series. I started listening to it specifically because I was like,
I know
its
this voice. Yeah.
The narrator is Arthur Morgan. Like,
Good
this is the
boy.
best thing ever. You know, and it is, he just has that velvety voice.
Yes.
That is so good. So that's the first thing, right? The voice work, the voice acting is just
incredible.
Probably, in my opinion, the best voice acting ever.
I'll agree to that.
That I know that's a tall order, but I love him, and he is that character.
What's the is like, if you only play like straight through the campaign and do nothing to the side, you know, even the fact that most of his voice lines is just like arguing with people about their decision making.
Yeah.
It's just the inflection of it and everything is just, it guides you along. And then if you do all the side stuff on top of it, where you can, you know, save nuns and help homeless people and like, murder racists in the street, you know, and burn the Ku Klux Klan, you know, is a small spattering of side stuff. But like the amount of like emotions that come out of that, there's certain cutscenes that happen from some side stories that if you never played through the whole thing, you wouldn't have these incredible moments like where you're sitting at the train station with that nun and is just talking about his life and how he doesn't feel like it's worth it or that he should even exist anymore. And it's just, it's so powerful.
Or even that moment where he's helping the Reverend escape.
Yes.
Right? Because it's not something that happens all the time. It's kind of a random thing. You have to be at the right place at the right time. You have to have made the right choices. And then being like, yeah, no, I'm going to help you get on this train. I get you got to go. Things are going bad. And that's the thing. Like, the choice is also what makes this character so good.
Yes.
Right? Good or bad, I loved Arthur. And when, spoilers, it's a few years old, when he dies at the end, you feel it. Like, it's the closest I've come to crying.
I cried.
It's so
I absolutely cried.
And that moment the song is playing, and if you're, you know, good, the sun is coming up as you're laying there dying of tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Is heart-wrenching.
What's like go ahead, sorry.
I just mean the events leading up to it, and then even playing the epilogue with John Marston and him like doing all these things because of Arthur's impact on him. It's a beautiful story.
Yes.
Just beautiful. And either way, right? You go good, you go bad. You get to make those choices, and it is your character.
Correct. Yeah, bad Arthur Morgan is really cool, but playing as just a good guy Arthur is honestly one of the greatest gaming experiences. This Red Dead Redemption 2 is, and I've said it many times, is my favorite game of all time. Nothing has come. Yeah. There are games I thought would never fall off my list until I finished that game. And I was like, there's like nothing can touch that. That is a perfect 10 out of 10 experience. The amount of times that I was emotionally involved, angry, upset, joyous, you know, coming back from Haiti, right? Or what is that? Haiti, whatever island you're stuck on, and you're on your horse and there's this beautiful song playing while you're just kind of stuck going back and forth. There's nothing else going on, but it's showing Arthur like barely holding on, riding across the entire map with a song going. And I specifically remember like Cheesy was in chat for this. He watched almost the whole, he's never played the campaign. He watched almost the whole thing while I was streaming it.
Oh, really?
And and he was like, that's one of the most impactful things I've ever seen in a video game. Just that one sequence was just so breathtaking. It's just the amount of things this game, especially because of Arthur Morgan as a character, made you feel was movies can't make me feel this. Like there's been a couple Spearmint commercials that have, but
right.
Nothing else has done this to me, man.
It is just a beautifully told story, and Arthur Morgan, Roger Clark voicing him is just absolute perfection.
Yes.
I do not think they could have done it any better. There's nothing that I can think of in that game other than maybe the control scheme.
Which, I mean, once keyboard mouse,
once you get used to
it, you figure it out. But yeah, you're right. It is pretty janky, and it's Rockstar, and all their games are feeling kind of janky.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than that, it is a 10 out of 10. Just all across the board. Your horse that you get attached to, like his relationship with the horse that you've built up over time, right? Because everybody picks a horse, and then they stick with that horse.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh, 100%. Whether it's got the best stats or not, you're just like, we've been through things together. There's voice lines for it, you know? I feel like if it wasn't for Arthur Morgan, who no one expected because the first Red Dead takes place after all this, right?
Yeah.
When you heard that Red Dead Redemption 2 wasn't going to be, that John Marston wasn't going to be the main character, some people were like, but why? Like, we want to see that version. And it was such a brilliant idea to have this other member of the gang that was never really mentioned be the lead character, and John happened to be a part of the story. That game could have been so easily just like a, you know, we're outlaws, boom, 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 boom game. But just the amount of effort that went into making Arthur Morgan perfect just made this game happen.
And it's beautiful. Like, it is just a beautiful story of the dying of the West.
Yes.
Of the erosion of people's freedoms and being so closely tied to people that make bad decisions.
Yes.
Because Dutch is this mythical father figure to Arthur, and as you progress through the story, he's falling out of love with him. Like, the guild is coming off. You're losing, like, he's losing faith in him, and it's so beautifully written. And then even the moments where, like, he's, you know, the first moments where he's acting on Strauss's behalf to go and collect money, and he has to act the tough, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's the muscle, and he goes in and he does what he's supposed to do because he loves the people, his family, and he's trying to take care of them. And even though it's something, because, like, good or bad, he's like, I don't really like this, but I guess I'll do it if I have to. And the struggle is just so real. I have a really hard time playing Arthur as dishonorable.
Me too. Yeah. After experiencing him as honorable. Yeah.
I can't, like, I've always started a dishonorable playthrough, and by the time I'm partway through, I'm like, I can't do it. It feels like I'm hurting him, which is a great protagonist.
Yes. And dude, you're so much like him right now. You got the TB cough, dude.
I got the TB cough.
You got the TB. It's another moment, you know, or, you know, about towards the end of the game when it pops up. What's the beauty of him slowly becoming sicker and leaner as the game goes on, and then that reveal that he's got tuberculosis, and he's slowly, the rest of the game, you're slowly start stumbling and coughing during combat. It's not just a cutscene thing. And again, it's just the fact that you are so attached to this guy that you're like, I almost couldn't keep playing when I found that out. I was like, I can't handle, like, you, at that moment you realize there's a reason he's not in the first game. And that's the moment where you go, I am not emotionally ready for this, because of how perfectly written this character is.
Well, and the introduction of that too, where it's just a random thing, right? That just happens. Like, you're accomplishing a mission is typically when it happens, and you collapse and fall off your horse.
Yeah.
Right? And you're not expecting it. You know, he's had a cough, and that cough has progressed. And, like, you play through it again, and you can see, okay, here's where he gets the TB. Here's where it progresses. You can see him. And then, like you said, like, towards the end of the game, where he's pale, he's lean and drawn and know how to, because there's that mechanic, right? You gotta feed yourself, you gotta keep yourself healthy, and no matter what you do, he's going to die and he's fading away in front of you. And then his last act, he knows he's dying, and his
Yes.
last act is to save the good parts of the family that he loved.
Yeah.
Just, oh man.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I even tried to replay the campaign, and I'll usually get halfway through and I'm like, it just hits a point where I'm like, I can't experience those. Like, it's not going to hit the same, obviously, because I know it's coming, but it's just like,
No, it still does.
It's
I can't tell you how many times I've played it, and I have to complete the story.
Yeah.
But it still hits you.
Okay.
In that way.
I'll force myself to I get to a point where I'm like, I just can't handle it again. And so I stopped playing through the campaign. I've probably reattempted it numerous times, but it's just one of those, it's so perfect. It's hard to experience it again. But I'm glad you've said that it hits the same. So I'll strive to do it, buddy.
Every time it still feels the same. Like, I still feel a sense of loss.
Yes.
When he dies.
And that's the show, folks. No other protagonist is as good as that. Have a nice night.
In my opinion, definitely the best.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, what's your next one?
My next one will be as Arthur Morgan was no surprise to anybody who knows us, right? For being your pick. No one's going to be surprised by my next pick for one of the greatest protagonists in a video game ever, and that is Commander Shepard from the Mass Effect series.
I knew.
Brought to you by BioWare, dude. Of course. Are you kidding me?
I thought about putting him on there, and I was like, no, I'll give it to him.
Oh, you could. If you took Arthur and Shepard from me, I'd quit the show. Like, there's just, that's it. Podcast over, dude. Your number blocked. So Commander Shepard, right, from a BioWare game, as people are aware with BioWare games, a lot of it depends, and also a little bit with Arthur Morgan, right? Depends on your decision-making through the game, whether you're going to be Paragon, Renegade, how some people react to you, how story elements can happen. But playing through, and even playing as a full Renegade option, is still an incredible character to go through a story with. And, learning about everyone who's with you on the ship and progressing forward and how your past can affect how you converse with people and go in these epic, massive fights against the Reapers and trying to bring the whole, galaxy together, especially in the third game, Russ, as you're going to find more and more. Like, Commander Shepard is a great protagonist in Mass Effect 1, right? You're just especially if you play like just a soldier, like maybe with your gun, you're plowing through, you're doing good deeds, make good decisions, right? If you choose to. Mass Effect 2 has some kind of deeper things going on, but playing with Commander Shepard, Mass Effect 3 is such incredible writing for a protagonist. The amount of things being thrown at them and they allow the character to show that it gets tough sometimes to have to be making these decisions, for everyone to be looking up to them, to lead everyone. But at the same time, knowing when to push it down and be like, all right, in this moment, I'm needed. This is what I'm going to do. And it's just a fantastic overarching story with an incredible protagonist that you feel even closer to because you're the ones that actually make the decisions as you go. And then obviously FemShep is the best Shep. The voice acting for that is just incredible. Don't get me wrong, Male Shepard is amazing. It's really fun to play through as both. And there's certain lines that hit differently depending on which voice actor it is.
Oh, sure.
But just, making your own story with your custom-made character if you want, or just the generic one, and just saving as many people as you can, or killing as many people as you can, is just an incredible experience.
Both.
Beautifully written, yes. And massive consequences, good or bad.
And here's the reason that I didn't put Commander Shepard on my list, is because I feel like they are outshone by the characters around them.
I can see that, yeah.
In my opinion, right? But I think that's part of what makes them such a good, like, you grow attached. I think that Commander Shepard excels in this way. You can, based on the dialogue options, it feels like they are saying what you're thinking.
Yes.
A lot of times.
Well,
you have enough options to kind of lean in that direction. right? And so mine is usually a little sarcastic, usually goes for the witty comment over the serious nature. And I think that they do that so well, and they make you feel so attached to these characters around them that you do, like, you love them. Like Morden, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible character.
So, yeah.
And kind of to bring it back to what we just talked about, though, with the previous game, is it's almost like Commander Shepard is incredible because of who they're surrounded by, and Arthur Morgan is incredible despite who he's surrounded by.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was doing that comparison in my head where I was like, there are a lot of people around Arthur that I like or I hate.
Yes.
A lot. Mostly there's one in particular, Micah Bell,
Mm-hmm.
that I just hate. I love to hate him. He's just the worst. But he still shines, right? He is still the star. Whereas I feel like with Mass Effect, Commander Shepard is secondary to the characters that you find along the way.
I agree, but it's he, she, whichever way you go, or the glue which brings all these people together, and that's what makes it incredible. Yeah. There's a question in the chat here from Native Raider from the Moist Boys. I'm thinking Squall Leonhardt is better than Cloud Strife as a protagonist. Thoughts?
Ooh.
That's a great question.
I don't know, because I never played the original, right? I never played 7, Final Fantasy 7 on PlayStation, at least not all the way through. And so my first introduction to Final Fantasy 7 was watching Advent Children with you.
Oh, yes. Oh, fuck. Great movie.
And so I got really attached to Cloud in that aspect. And then that's when I did like a dive into the lore so I could understand what the hell is going on in Advent Children. Anyway. And I've only played the first part of the remakes.
Okay.
So I really don't have... Wait, Squall. I'm thinking, Jake. Squall is the one from Final Fantasy X?
I think it's 8.
He's the one with the gun sword.
The gun sword, yeah. That's 8, right? Help me out here, Native.
I gotta go with
Cloud
because I played Final Fantasy 8. That's actually the Final Fantasy that I probably played the most of.
Okay.
And while the gun sword was cool, I found Squall utterly boring.
Well, and that's the interesting part of this question, right? Is like original release Final Fantasy VII Cloud is
pretty boring too.
Very boring, right? And in that case, I would agree Squall was way better. Squall also a very bland wet blanket, right? But had a lot more cool moments being a leader of a team and bringing people forward.
Fair.
Now, if we had Advent Children Cloud in Final Fantasy VII, that'd be different.
Or even remake.
And that's the thing. If you're looking at Final Fantasy VII Remake, that version of Cloud Strife is way more interesting, hands-on, and a leader. So I'd say in the premise of the question, looking at the original release of 7 and 8, I would agree that Squall was better than Cloud Strife.
Fair.
Fantastic question. Russ, who's your next person?
My next person is Raziel from Legacy of Kain.
Who you just talked about. Very recently.
I did. Yeah. So he started in Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, which was released in September of 1999. He was in 3 subsequent games. Soul Reaver 2, Legacy of Kain, Kain Defiance, Legacy of Kain Defiance, and then he was voiced by Michael Bell. I don't know the story and the voice acting in these games. Forget about the game mechanics for a second.
Yes.
This is just, I love to go back and watch the YouTube videos that is just like, here is if all the cinematics were a movie.
Oh yeah, I love those kind of videos. Yes.
His voice, and then you have the introduction of like, because I like things that are maybe a little biblical. I find the mythology aspects of angels and demons and, seraphim, I find them utterly fascinating.
Yes.
Right? And so you kind of have this aspect that's drawn in, And plus you have a character that is a vampire to start out with. And then what happens is he evolves. And he evolves with these wings. And Cain, who is his sire, becomes infuriated by his progression past him and rips off his wings and then throws him into essentially a bottomless pit full of water. That's important in the mythos because water is like acid to vampires. So he descends through this bottomless watery pit. You know, think like the Adriatic Trench.
Yeah.
Right? For hundreds of years. And then is brought back by this elder god, this thing that exists beyond the realms of the dead. And he comes back and his jaw has been melted off, and no longer does he suck the blood of the living to survive. Now he absorbs their soul through this never-ending hunger that exists where his jaw and throat used to be. So cool. Character design is awesome, where he has these broken wings on his back that he can use to glide around.
Yes.
I love the scarf. That is one of my favorite looks on characters.
It's
that
really
scarf
cool
that
design.
comes just under the nose, you know, kind of that ninja mask kind of thing. He's a desiccated looking vampire. He's got these glowing eyes. He's got talons where his feet should be. He's got claws. And the story and this dichotomy of fate.
Okay. Yeah.
And are you bound by fate? And can you ever break free of what your fate is supposed to be? Because that's the central kind of story to the Legacy of Kain and the Soul Reaver games. And he has this antagonist that like pushes him forward, where they're constantly meeting, and then one or the other is just barely escaping from this encounter, and they can't really kill each other, even to the point to where the sword that Raziel uses, which is like this spectral blade, is the ghost of it's called Soul Reaver, and it is essentially the ghost of Kain's sword. It's the shadow, the ghost of that sword. And they are two, like they're constantly at war with one another. In fact, you find out that Raziel was actually a member, I think they were called the Seraphim, but they were basically vampire hunters. And when Kain wiped them out, he turned their lieutenants and their leaders into his children, the generals of his own vampiric army. It's a post-apocalyptic world.
Which you're obsessed with.
I mean, it's just the story and then this protagonist. And it kind of swaps back and forth. Raziel is probably my favorite. And you'll get these thoughts, like, as you're going through the game, it's the voice, and the way the voice acting is done is just these kind of ASMR whispers.
Okay,
with this slight British accent that's just oh, I could just sink into that voice.
It's not like a game series I've played, right? I've watched you a little bit with it. So this isn't one I'm going to have knowledge about and be able to discuss why I love them too. But so what is it with this tale going back and forth, and this redemption arc and everything? Like, what are these story points in game with the voice acting and stuff? Like, what sets it apart where you have those emotions besides just like the outside lore, or like what kind of happens in a cutscene? Like, what hits where you go, yes, this is my guy?
It's really the voice actor is really good.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a warm blanket that you kind of sink into, and you're like, I'd love this guy to just read me a story. So there's part of that.
Just with the whispery ASMR.
Right. But there's also that dichotomy. I really just love the story beats that are there of him versus Cain, and they're trying to kill each other, but they're also trying to escape from fate. And eventually, like, I don't think they ever finished off like the story for them. But like there's also time travel involved with it. Um, and it's just so the first game he's having to go and he's killing his brothers, essentially,
As
and
you do.
absorbing their souls to grow more powerful. And there's that aspect of I'm having to kill my brothers and then finding out that you have become the thing that you hated
Oh, I love those kind of twists.
because
Yes.
you were turned into that against your will. Like, because as a seraphim, he was a protector of humanity, but now humanity's dead, and now he is the monster that ate them in the night, you know? And then there's that aspect too of like Cain was his sire and he hates him, but also Cain has some motives that he begins to understand. So it's that relationship between protagonist and antagonist. Yeah, kind of like Batman and Joker, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I think Batman without the Joker wouldn't
You
be
go yell at
as
my kids. Keep
interesting.
going.
I think Batman without Joker wouldn't be as interesting. I think they're a dichotomy, and I think they're a flip to the coin that makes things much more interesting. And I think the thing that makes Raziel more interesting is Cain, right? Cain, this vampire king, this lord that now he's having to defeat and
I'm
take
not
down.
dying, don't worry.
Oh, good. And it's their relationship and their moments. I think to answer your original question, not that you can hear me, but to answer your original question, the moments that make me sit up and think and go, man, I love this, is his interactions with Cain and how they bounce off of each other, and how you have that aspect of I think I'm doing good. I think I'm doing the right thing, but and I'm fighting against evil, but now as I'm fighting against evil, maybe their motives are actually like their motives sound right. So that's the answer to your question.
Okay. Where do you play this game? Because I've never played through it, but if they're on your list of favorite protagonists, as you're my like best friend, I should probably play through this.
So they're originally on PlayStation 2.
Legacy of Cain, is that what it is, right?
Legacy of Cain.
Okay.
The first one is Blood Omen. I think they're on Steam.
I will go look.
But Blood Omen is not, unfortunately, and I've always wanted to start at the very beginning because I've never played Blood Omen. And Blood Omen is the story of how Cain became Cain.
Blood Omen 2 Legacy of Cain is on Steam, but none of the other ones are.
Yeah, that one I don't really count. So basically
okay, good. So the one that's on Steam doesn't count. Okay, damn it.
Blood Omen 2 is basically like a what if.
Oh,
Cain goes
gotcha.
back in time and things have changed and it's kind of weird.
Okay. I'll find it. If it's on your list, buddy, I will play through this because I couldn't add to it because I don't know it, but if it's on your list, it's got to be good, man. So I'll do it for you.
They're supposed to be doing the remake soon.
Oh, shit.
So,
well, I'll wait for the remakes. That makes life easier.
Hopefully, at that point, we will all be playing them. And maybe we'll do that for a playthrough.
Okay.
A gaming
that'd
club
be fun.
playthrough.
Yeah. Sugarcane. That's a good one, Native. Yeah. Kane and Undertaker were a great duo. Very true.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
I think it's the same. Yeah. If you really listen to Russ explain the game, I really think it's the exact same.
Yeah. It's kind of a Cain and Abel story.
Titus from Space Marines 2. I mean, he could be on there. He's pretty fucking cool, Native.
I thought about including him, but I don't know as much about him as I would like.
Exactly. I feel like I haven't finished the campaign yet. I don't think, Russ, you have either. And then I didn't play the first one. So he's really hitting my heart right now, but we got to give it time.
Yeah. So who is the next person on your list?
So interesting because of the parallel of discussing Space Marines 2 just now, actually is someone who people would not expect. But if you really play and really focus and pay attention, there's a lot of growth and feels. And obviously, at a certain point in my life, when all these games came out, was a big portion of it. Playing co-op with a lot of friends, experiencing through the game with my wife, and that's going to be Marcus Phoenix from the Gears of War series.
Okay.
Truly, honestly, he comes off as just like, manly, gruff, shoot gun, murder, blah, 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 blah. But like as time goes on, even, you know, in the game, especially in the third game really opens up to who he is as a person and really shows his feelings. But if you pay attention, it's pretty subtle. But, you know, in the first couple games, he's in charge. He doesn't want to be, right? But he's a man who's been pulled from prison to go back to war. But all he cares about is making sure his best friend, Dom, survives everything, right? At the end of the day, if
But
you pay
doesn't,
attention,
does he?
He does not. He does die in the third game, which really hits Marcus hard. And you as a player, like I remember emotionally being gutted during Gears of War 3. But like the ability to show that, have these flashback sequences, and just really hands-on, even throughout all the just blood and gore of what Gears of War is, showing the constant checking up on Dom and being there when he found his wife. Dom finds his wife he's been searching for, and she's like a dead husk, and being there for him and just protecting him from everything. And like the war needs to be ended, but all he cares about is his buddy. You know, and which is a beautiful thing to watch. And then coming in, you know, that his dad's alive. Like it was a lot of, especially in the third game, again, is a lot of moments where it really lets the voice actor come forward. Because you wouldn't think there's a lot to do with just like, Dom, they're sinking cities with a giant worm, you know. But what he's able to bring forward with Dom dying and his dad coming back into the picture because he's actually alive. Turns out he's working with, you know, the enemy the whole time and saving him and losing him. And, you know, the love story that happens with Anna throughout the whole thing and gaining the respect of his fellow soldiers and command. And like, it honestly, if you truly pay attention, is a beautiful storyline with some heartbreaking stuff for Marcus. And then on top of it, it's just he's a big fucking beef dude chainsawing, you know, really gross monsters. Yeah. So, like, what's not to love there?
Yeah. No, I haven't played. I played the first one. I think I played some of the second one, or maybe the third one with you.
I played a shit ton of the third one.
Because what had happened was I had come up to Colorado to visit.
Let me see.
And you were like, hey, we need to get together. And so you had come and you were going to like spend the night.
Yeah, Gears of War 2 launched the year we graduated high school.
So I think it was Gears of War 3 then. So one where you chainsaw the worm's heart.
Chainsaw the worm's heart. Oh, that was the second one.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the one where you're sinking cities with a giant worm. Dom!
Yeah.
Yeah, we did some couch co-op with that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that I don't know as much about that character. I do remember Gears of War.
Okay.
And I remember I never beat the final boss on the first one.
Yeah, that one was kind of tough. He definitely was a surprisingly tough boss. Yeah, I died a lot to him. But so we need to make sure we'll find a way to do a playthrough together. Okay. Like we did the Halo series. That was super fun.
Yep.
Go through co-op in the Gears of War, especially Gears of War 3 is a brilliant fucking game. It hits some really cool themes, really opens up the heartfelt moments of what Gears of War is, again, looked at as just like, man, you know, like Gears of War 3 hits so fucking hard. Another time, I didn't cry during 3, but like you with Arthur, like I got close quite a few times.
See, and I almost put John, Spartan 117, Master Chief, on my list.
It's a pretty good one.
Especially once you get into the later games where he has those moments, and he's like with Cortana, really cool. Plus, the books make him a lot more interesting.
To be a good protagonist, you don't just like a lot of the ones that hit with us because. We really enjoy, reading and storytelling, and you're writing a book. Like, a lot of the ones on our list are going to be ones that made us really emotional for different reasons. But like having a favorite protagonist is just like, I'm returning their bomb. It's like, that's just fucking cool. Right. There's nothing wrong with just having a badass protagonist as your favorite guy. Yeah. But since since Master Chief is not on your list, who is the next on your list?
The next person I'm going to do is Kratos, because I think we're getting towards the end. They're probably not going to cover everybody on our list, but I do want to hit Kratos before we end it out.
Okay.
I think I want to do one more, but it'll be quick.
Okay.
But his growth, right? We have 5 games with him.
Correct.
Main games, right? Aside from Chains of Olympus, a couple of others.
Yeah.
Right? Voice
Street
acted
Fighter.
by as a young Kratos, Anthony Del Rio. Originally voiced by Terrence C. Carson, and now in the 2008 iterations, voiced by Christopher Judge. So that growth of Fury incarnate, that's all he is. He is angry and he is seeking after vengeance. And that is all he is. And then that was good, right? It was good. There wasn't, you could feel his emotions and you kind of understood where he was coming from. And you enjoyed playing this rage monster. At least I did.
Yeah.
And then in the last one where he's like, I've killed everybody I needed to kill, and I have destroyed the world.
Now I can sit back and look upon a grateful universe. Yeah.
Well, and he's like, I kind of like that grief. He's finally allowed to feel the grief that he felt over his family. Even though there is that one scene where he like pushes his daughter away in one of the games. And even at the end of that one, right, where there's this transition of maybe it wasn't all that he wanted it to be. And he's talking to Athena, and I think he lets loose hope. I'm still confused on what exactly happened at the end of God of War 3. From what I understand, he released hope back into the world.
I think that's
just
what it was.
Destroyed the world or something like that.
Kind of rebirthed it destroyed it, but rebirthed it.
Something like that. Yeah.
What's the cool thing with Kratos is like, even if it was just the first few games and not these 2 newer ones, like it's still an incredible protagonist. But what has happened, like you mentioned, with these 2 newer games, having a more subdued Kratos who's gone through what he has and is now trying to remake himself, has a family, still has that strength and that rage, and trying to, that back and forth of containing it, but letting it out sometimes, but really struggling to hold it in. And like some of the consequences of actions coming back at him is just, it's brilliant. If it wasn't these last 2 games, he'd still be a great character. But what they have done is just an absolute masterpiece.
From that first moment where he covers his now dead wife's hand, that golden print on the tree with his own.
Yes.
Like, just, and I remember watching that and being like, wow. And then through the entire game, his relationship with Atreus, and how he sees in himself and is trying to pull him back, and especially in the second one,
yes,
where he's seeing that rage come out. The first one deals a lot with that, and then the second one where he's like, I just want to protect him. I just want to make sure that he stays alive, and I want to make sure that he doesn't become the man that I am.
Yes.
And finding out that his son is keeping secrets from him and lying to him, and it just hits home. Like, especially now as a dad, where it's like,
Gideon lies to you
just
all
want to have
time.
you just want to have a good relationship with your son.
Absolutely.
Right?
Especially if that's all you have left.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have that experience.
No,
but
for
yes.
sure.
And it's like, you just love them so much and you want them to be better than you are.
Exactly.
And you want to do that, but you also don't want to be controlling, and like, you're having to find that balance. And that's like, I see all of that in Kratos. Right?
Exactly. It's not just a perfectly written dad. It's not just like, I do everything correct. It's like, he really messes up. And you as the player go, dude, you really fucked up there. And there's times you go, yes, that was, spot on, And there's lessons you can take from it where you're like, oh yeah, that's probably how I should act in that scenario,
And that moment where Atreus is sick and he has to go to Muspelheim? No.
Mucinex? Niflheim.
Helheim? Niflheim.
Niflheim.
I think it's Niflheim.
Niflheim, yeah.
The Land of the Dead.
Yeah.
And to get there, he has to put back on the blades.
Fuck, dude.
And when he's rowing to the house, and you can see everything getting darker, and that music sets in.
And the wrapping comes off, and the scars are showing again.
And he reaches under, and he pulls back, and you've got Athena sitting there staring at him. That is... Okay. I love Red Dead Redemption 2. But
Correct.
if I could pick a single moment from any game as the best moment ever, it would have to be that moment. There are feels, the music is perfect, that you know what's about to happen. You've been there with him through the fury and the scars, and so you understand, especially if you played the first three, and you can feel the weight of those blades as he takes them back out. Of like, this is the man I've tried so hard to distance myself from, but I've got to do this. And this is the man I'm going to need to be. And then he never takes them off again. Right? You go into the second game, he's still got those blades. Because they were seared into him. So I can't imagine what it took to get them off in the first place. And now the permanence of them being affixed again is something else, right? Like, we don't know what it was that allowed him to separate himself from those blades.
But it could not have been easy or pain-free.
Right. And now he's taking them back up again. Just such a good moment. And then like his interaction with Odin and Thor in the second one, or even his interaction with the stranger, where he's like, nope, no, nobody else here, just me. And then that fight with them, oh my gosh, it just
incredible, yeah,
so good. It kind of makes me want to go back and play. Now, the first three are great, don't get me wrong, but the feels that you get in God of War Ragnarok and God of War 2018.
Well, I think, and that's the importance of the first three games, is like the last two wouldn't hit as hard if you hadn't experienced what he used to be, like going through that whole transition in life, and, the emotional difference between the two sections of his life, that makes everything hit harder 100% in this last two games.
Well, and I think there's like 100-year difference too between the two.
Yeah.
And so what has happened in that transition that has turned him into, now he's still a stoic. Like even you get the idea that he spends a lot of time by himself.
Absolutely.
Because there's that distance between him and Atreus, which also hits because, I love my dad, but me and my dad, we were at a distance from each other, right? We didn't get to know each other really, really well until I was an adult, basically. And so it's that same kind of aspect that just, it hits home for me in a lot of ways, checks all the boxes, and it's just great. Like that moment where he picks up the pot, that Grecian pot, and it's his story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, and you hear the theme from the original God of War, and it's just, so good. And then his relationship with his father Zeus. Oh, sorry.
And wanting to have and that's a big thing that pushes him to be a better father to his son, is
right.
Yeah, you're like, well, my son's pretty strong. I don't want him to go in a rage and murder me one day.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right, your turn.
Okay. Well, again, fucking fantastic pick, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic pick.
It's all me. What can I say?
Yeah, it is all you. You wrote the character. People don't realize you weren't credited for it, but yeah. So we just doing one more each, right? Is that what we're doing?
One more each.
Okay. For my last one, is not one I originally was going to pick. But every time I went back to thinking about it, I was like, I just keep coming back to this character, right? A lot of these games we've chosen have been, our big RPGs, right? with some really deep diving into the character and the growth. And this is more from a pretty linear series, right? We didn't expect this character to come back, but we've had a couple iterations of it. And it's a guy that's just makes me feel good in my heart, good memories. Like we were talking about earlier, it doesn't have to be just incredible growth and really hard-hitting things all the time. Your protagonist can just be a badass that is always there and is winning. And it's Captain Price from the Modern Warfare series of Call of Duty. No joke, dude.
Nice.
That guy in every campaign for Call of Duty. Again, didn't expect it to go this way, but it's just like he kept coming back into my head. The guy is just a fucking G, right? He's a badass. He's always there, looking out for you, pushing you to be better than you are. Especially in some of these newer campaigns, minus the last one. That was a terrible campaign, and I fucking hate you, Call of Duty. But
that took a turn.
His voice in your head all the time, him actually leading the squad, pushing you to be better. Just so many epic, badass moments with this guy. He is the face of one of the biggest franchises out there, and I don't know, it just makes you feel good. In a weird turn here, but Modern Warfare 2019 launched the day after I found out my mom had cancer. So I locked myself in a room, and I was like, I'm just going to play COD because I have no idea how to handle these emotions. And so I just plowed through that campaign, and it's just like, yeah, in a dumb way, like Captain Price was there for it, like,
Yeah.
he was inspiring the whole campaign and really pushing you, and like a lot of like reaching out to help you, like physically be there, and it's like, yeah, this guy, he's just there and he's badass.
I'll be there for you. These 5 words I swear to you.
That was beautiful, buddy. But yeah, I mean, there's not a ton to talk about because there's not like every other character who've had these big epic, like, oh, what'll he do and character growth. But he's just a guy he's on my list. He's badass. He's fucking cool. He's always there. And if you haven't played through all the campaigns, like Call of Duty campaigns are, whatever you feel about like the multiplayer and stuff, the campaigns are always fucking incredible experiences. And as much as I love, and this would be a fun topic sometime, but as much as I love open world RPG games, there's too many of them, right? So sometimes just having a linear, action-packed, almost theatrical, right, campaign experience just hits so good, and I really prefer those sometimes. So he's the man.
I think in a lot of those, that's where we see these better characters because it's just better written. With Red Dead being the exception in my mind, right? It's kind of the exception to the rule. Because it's open world, but you get so invested in the characters. Whereas, in my opinion, that's why Bayek, they didn't really do it for me. In a couple of the other Assassin's Creed games, I just didn't get as attached to the character as I did to like Ezio, right? But I agree.
Play through Bayek again now that you're a dad.
Yeah, I need to pick up Origins.
It's a completely different experience.
I really loved the Grecian one.
The one that like doesn't actually
Odyssey.
have to do with, the one that's just a Ubisoft RPG that has nothing to do with Assassins.
I mean, it does and it doesn't.
Come on,
still in
Origins.
that world.
Origins is the origins of Assassin's Creed, and that one takes place before that. That doesn't make any. That's a soapbox. That's a hill I'll die on. And I have never actually played Odyssey for that reason because it pisses me off.
I mean, in my opinion, the Icarus one.
You're flying too close to the sun, Icarus.
The cartoon. It's Ubisoft. It kind of flew under the radar.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Ubisoft, Icarus, Phoenix Rising game, right?
I think it was Phoenix Rising. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably a better version because it is divorced from the Assassin's Creed mythos. But I loved the more fantastical element of Odyssey.
Everyone I've talked to said Odyssey is a great game, which I bet it's a fantastic game. It's the fact they put Assassin's Creed in the title that pisses me off.
Sure.
My favorite thing in Assassin's Creed games is like, honestly, the Assassin's Order is like so fucking cool to me.
It's cool.
And Origins is the start of it. And to have a game that's just like, it takes place before all that. You're like, what? It's like, they could have just released that as a separate game and it would have been fucking badass.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't have had the fan base built in to then sell their game.
I guess it just pisses me off.
It's
everyone has that really dumb hill in gaming. And that's my really dumb hill.
Fair.
I'm well aware.
That and Warframe.
Well, that one's more just out of spite. Like, that's not a dumb hill. That's not what I'm willing to die on.
You're gonna die on.
No, everyone has. There's a difference between dying on a hill and being spiteful. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't hate the Grecian and what it's the Odyssey. I don't hate Odyssey for the lulz, right? I don't play Warframe because it's funny.
Okay.
Very different things. Very different things. Yeah.
So my last one,
Captain Price.
In the same vein.
Oh, cool.
Of your, in kind of the same vein, I picked the Overlord from the Overlord games, Overlord 1 and 2.
Okay.
He is not a voiced character. He has no pivotal story beats. The first one was released in June 2007. And the premise of the game is you are Sauron, and your orcs are little minion dudes that you control and send around. And the first game is basically you're going down and hunting down the Fellowship of the Rings. You start by hunting down a hobbit, and they're each representative of the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
So you have the hobbit, who's representative of gluttony. You have the human king, who becomes a representative of lust. You have envy. You have pride. There's like an elf assassin figure. There's this huge barbarian dude. And it is just... It's a really cool story. And you get to play from the point of view of the villain going and reclaiming his power. And I think that is just incredibly cool. To be able to have a game where you are the villain, you know that you're the villain, and you're going out and you're doing these things. Plus, his character design is very cool. He's very Sauron-esque.
Very.
I even usually go with a mace, because that's what Sauron had in The Lord of the Rings. And you're basically rebuilding your empire, your tower. And it actually turns out you were one of the heroes. And the wizard, when you killed the last overlord, he transferred his soul into the wizard. And the wizard has been using you and manipulating you so that you can rebuild his power so that he can take over again, and then you have to fight him at the very end. Just really cool. There's really no story elements that are like, this is cool. But he was a really cool protagonist, and like that game still sticks out to me.
Yes.
All these years later, just because of those ideas.
I instinctively remember
the game mechanics.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, I distinctly remember, because again, that was our last summer together, right?
Yeah.
And I spent more time sleeping on your couch than I did at my house, right?
Yeah.
And I remember not even being upset that you're like, I'm going to play this game. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, it wasn't like, we should be playing a game together. I was more than happy to just sit there and watch this game be played. And it was, like you said, it's just, and I like how both of our last characters aren't these like deep philosophical, like it's just, it made you feel things and you felt badass and it was just cool.
It was cool, right?
Yes.
It was cool being the villain. And that was why it was one of my favorites, because I love villains. Villains are my favorite.
Oh, yes. You hide it really well.
Be the protagonist as a villain, just so cool.
We should do a villain episode sometime.
I think. Do we have something? Is next week not the? Is next week our
Next
Mass
week,
Effect episode?
no, it'll be the
It's
week
the week after.
So I'm thinking next week is Space Marines.
Oh, okay. All
That's
right.
what I'm going for. So we can do next week for Space Marines, and then the last Mass Effect 3 for Gamer Club, and then it's your turn to choose a game. So what is that? The 10th we can do villains?
Sure.
Okay,
I'm
deal.
done.
Let's put it down. Anyway, sorry, keep going. But yeah, no, just fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it just and I like that too, right? Our last two are just, hey, they've stuck out to us because they were fun.
100%, yeah. Interesting question coming in from the chat here from Native Raider again. Fantastic questions. But if Lord of the Rings got in a fight with Harry Potter peoples, who wins? It depends on which people in Harry Potter, right? Because everyone in Lord of the Rings is willing to kill immediately, right? But not everyone in Harry Potter is willing to go like Expelliarmus to Aragorn. He's pulling out a dagger and getting closer. Like he's going to do whatever he needs to do to kill everyone.
So is your answer Lord of the Rings? Then?
I think Lord of the Rings would win this, right?
And I think you're right.
Gandalf,
like
Sauron, I think, yeah.
Sauron would be hard to beat.
Sauron would be very hard to beat. Gandalf would be hard to beat, right? Yeah, I don't know how good spells are against a volley of arrows, honestly.
And are we talking Sauron with the ring or without the ring?
Ooh, and that's a really good point. Who wins in a fight? Peak Voldemort or peak Sauron?
So, okay.
That's a question.
If we're taking heroes against heroes, I think Harry Potter has the edge.
Okay.
Here's why.
Who are you now? Is this a direct correlation? Would be like Harry Potter himself versus like Frodo,
right?
Is that where you're going with this?
Like heroes, the Fellowship,
okay,
versus, let's say, 7 other main characters from Harry Potter.
Okay.
Heroes: Harry Potter, Hermione, Ron, Professor McGonagall, Dumbledore. Those people. Sirius, Lupin, maybe. So I think if we took like the Fellowship versus maybe those 7, I think Harry Potter has the edge. The Harry Potter books.
Okay, interesting.
Because they have magic that is really like most of the Fellowship, they're just normal people. Aside from the ring, which may be their edge, but then he could just be like Accio ring, right? I think the magic gives them the edge. So even though, they probably wouldn't try to kill them. I mean, Dumbledore with the Elder Wand versus Gandalf. Gandalf really can't use his magic to affect mortals, right? If we're going by the lore of the Lord of the Rings, he can't act in direct countermeasure to anybody. That's why his staff breaks when he's facing off against the Witch King. Because it is anathema to his mantle of responsibility. He is meant to be a guiding force to gather people together and to send them out. That's why he can never act directly, even though his power is comparable to Sauron. He cannot act in direct opposition.
That's a really good point. I think, what was that spell they used to make freezes people in place? Is that stupefy? If stupefy is out of the question.
Ricto Mortis or something like that.
That's actually a really funny name. But yeah, if that spell doesn't exist, I think Lord of the Rings has a better chance. But with what I was saying earlier, where they can just keep pulling up new weapons and getting closer and closer, that spell, no matter what, unless they're also magic user, freezes them in place.
They have a full gamut of spells.
But I'm just saying that one spell alone makes it like, no matter how hard they're pushing, being able to just freeze everyone in place, like that kind of just gives them the edge no matter what.
That's what I'm saying. So I think the magic and the freedom of magic in Harry Potter, I think they would win. However, if we're taking villains against villains,
now it's interesting.
Sauron
wins every time. Every time. Voldemort's a bitch, dude.
Sauron can act counter to, like, he is a powerful figure. I think if there wasn't that restriction, on Gandalf, then Lord of the Rings would still win, right? Okay. But Sauron, being free of all fetters and being able to act with all of his power, would be able to beat Voldemort even without the ring.
Now, what if Aragorn has an M60?
I mean, they still have the ability, shielding charms, to be able to just block everything. There's no drain on their strength or anything according to the magic system in Harry Potter.
But
so
this is the question that we need to look into the lore of. Does the barrier protect from magic, or does it also protect from a projectile fired at high velocity?
I think it protects from projectiles because they kind of get around that in where they're like, oh, they use guns? That's stupid.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I just really want Lord of the Rings to win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. And that pisses me off. I hate this question. Fuck you, Native.
Yeah. Lord of the Rings has better characters.
I agree. Lord of the Rings is better, period.
Although I really do still have a hard time getting through Lord of the Rings.
Well, and that is the other side of it. You know, is one is a highbrow fantasy and the other is a kid's book.
Harry Potter is still good.
Harry Potter is still
great.
It
is a great story.
I agree.
But I do think Lord of the Rings, I think the world is better.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, did you ever play Pal World?
No.
Okay. Native, tell you what, someday we will do an episode because everyone shits on you for playing Pal World where you can just sit here and sell everyone on it. How's that? And we'll sit back and you'll see if you can make us decide to try it. Okay.
I have no inclination. We talked about this last week where it's like, I want to be the hero. I don't want the other things to do the stuff with me.
Just for the lulz in the whole community, especially with all the different podcasts that, you know, we know of and know of us, it'd be so fucking funny because everyone shits on him all the time for Pal World. To have a whole episode just for him to sell us on it, I think it'd be hilarious.
I'm down for that.
Okay, cool. And then we can sell him on not playing it anymore. How's that?
Fair.
Okay, good. No, play whatever games you like, people. We are very adamant about video games here at Just Some Gamers. It's in the name. Yeah. Play what makes you happy.
We do, and I think it's important. You particularly have built a community that, while it enjoys making fun of other people, also at the core of it loves other people. Deep in its core.
Very much so.
Deep in there.
It hides it very well, but it's in there.
Well, I think that's it. That's our show, right?
Yeah, man.
So you can find me, Jackal7250. You can find me here on Discord. I'm semi-active. Elmer can attest to this. I am not always the best at responding quickly or efficiently.
Nope. But he does respond.
Eventually.
He'll never ghost you longer than a week.
Right. I usually try to check, especially if there's messages. I'll try to keep up on those. I'm really bad at looking through all the channels to see all the different things. I don't know. Really bad. I usually keep up with Valheim, Space Marines 2, Helldivers 2. I try to check those. I'm really bad about checking the Mass Effect channel. Elmer, again, can testify to that one.
Truth.
But you can find me here. You can find me on Twitter at drjex. That's JEX 72590.
Yeah.
I'm again relatively active on there. I've got to be better because eventually I'm going to publish a book, and apparently that's just part of it, right?
That's social media is part of everything now, man. It's crazy.
So I'll figure it out eventually. I think at some point I want to start posting TikToks on the writing process and
I'd love
doing little book updates and things like that. Maybe some character design as I'm drawing and things like that. But we'll see. Where can people find you?
Speaking of too many social media things, you can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the places at ELMMERFUDD Games. Double M,
Double M,
double D,
double G. Well, why don't you take us out?
You didn't do all the ending stuff for the episode and everything.
Oh yeah, no, I totally don't know that. You can find us at Just Some Gamers on everywhere where podcasts are sold or not sold or free. And we still have what's the email? JSGcast@gmail.com.
I think so. Yeah.
Feel free to send us questions, comments, ad reads, pictures of Dick Cheney, whatever your heart desires. We are there. We are listening. We may not respond.
Yeah. All right. That's good enough.
That's it, right?
No, but that's okay. That's good enough. Join us next week for mutual chaos and utter incompetency.
Oh, that was weird.
That was, yeah. No, the whole time was weird. I liked it.
Yeah.
But it was weird.
It was weird.
I liked this one. We should do that more often. That was fun.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I have no idea how the outro goes. I can do the intro. That's easy enough.
Yeah.